coming up on Carolina Week.
Throw it together! Now one step back!
Demonstrators take to the streets of Raleigh, urging lawmakers to stop moving backward on social issues.
The Tar Heels go head-to-head with NC State tonight and hope to send the Wolfpack home with another loss.
And a Triangle organization is pairing up with lovable dogs and local veterans. All that and more, Carolina Week
Starts right now.
From the UNC School of Media and Journalism, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
UNC student government election activities are on hold as issues within the Board of Elections get sorted out. Good afternoon, I'm Alex Perret.
And I'm Sharon Nunn. But before we get to the latest on student elections, let's talk about another contest that's got everyone going today. It's the big game between Carolina and NC State. Carolina Week Sports' Brett Thompson joins us live from PNC Arena in Raleigh, where the two teams will meet tonight. Brett, how are things looking over there?
Well, thanks, Sharon. I'm outside the student line right now. People are getting amped up for the game. They've been waiting hours to get into the arena to see the Wolfpack take on the Tar Heels. But stay tuned for some updates. We're going to talk about injuries. We're going to talk about a potential coach firing. We're going to hear from Roy Williams and Joel Berry about tonight's game. It's North Carolina, it's NC State, and it's all coming up next on Carolina Week Sports. Sharon, back to you.
Fun stuff. Brett Thompson live in Raleigh. We'll catch up with him in a little bit later.
The student body president election remains on hold tonight. It's been that way for weeks now, but the campaigning may get started soon. It's a confusing story. Danielle Wallace is here with us to explain exactly what's going on.
Yeah, it is confusing. It all has to do with one candidate's qualifications and why UNC Board of Elections hadn't had the proper number of members. Our story starts with this guy, Joe Nail. He's a sophomore economics and political science major, and he wants to be student body president.
I think it boils down to some great work from a great campaign team and the ability to inspire a lot of students.
Our story also involves this guy too, current student body president Bradley O'Pear. Those comments came following his victory last year. I'm standing outside the student government suite in the student union, room 3109. Let's take a look inside. Behind me is where the Board of Election meets, where they found Joe Nail guilty of 2 false starts and 2 technology violations. After he was disqualified, he appealed to the Supreme Court, which also meets in this room. The court ruled Joe Nail could continue campaigning because the board cannot make decisions without the necessary 5 members, leading to editorials like this one in the Daily Tar Heel asking why the Board of Elections was short-staffed in the first place. The reason we're not seeing signs like these and people rallying for signatures is thanks to that decision. The court says the Board of Elections could not disqualify Nail because there weren't the required number of members.
I do envision the Board of Elections having the correct number of people serving on the committee by Wednesday.
That's Cole Simons. He's Speaker of Congress.
I don't know what that means for the hearings that will have to take place regarding election violations or when they'll restart the actual campaigns.
O'Pear nominated 6 students to the Board of Elections. Last night, the nominees were reviewed by this committee of Student Congress. Why hadn't O'Pear nominated members for consideration earlier? Board of Elections Chairman Paul Kushner.
I mean, that's a combination of factors. We had some people ready in the fall. We had other people come in very recently this past week. Makes the meeting have to be today. It is what it is.
Student Congress is holding an emergency meeting tonight where it's expected to fill those seats. But our story doesn't end there. Once the board has enough members, it must still rule whether Joe Nail is qualified to run before campaigning can continue. So why the holdup on filling those board seats? That's still not clear.
Let's hope they can work some things out in their meeting tonight. Thanks, Danielle.
Tens of thousands of people protested for civil rights and social justice in downtown Raleigh Saturday. The event, called HK on J, is just one of many protests opposing policies put in place by conservative lawmakers. But how much of a difference does protesting actually make? Carolina Week reporter Aaron Wygant went to find out.
Throw it together! Now one step back!
Thousands of voices filled the streets of downtown Raleigh protesting a variety of different issues. One of those voices was UNC student Crystal Ewell.
Feeling a source of validation
It means a lot to me personally because it means that I can keep doing what I care about.
But demonstrations aren't new. You can see signs protesting issues that have been around for decades.
If people are going to marches and rallies just to feel better, to have a nice day out where they really feel good and they work hard on their sign, then they're not going to have much impact.
Milada Vachinova teaches political science at UNC. She says that protests alone cannot enact the change demonstrators are hoping for.
At the end of the day, elections are what determines the course of politics.
But Vachinova says the protests can keep momentum going.
There will always be people who say protests don't matter, but I think that the continued protests really matter in energizing people.
UNC senior Reagan Buchanan joined Saturday's protest. She says the gathering isn't just about changing legislation.
These protests aren't necessarily to sway the minds of legislators, even though I think that's what people think that they're for. I think it's to reinvigorate this community and bring people together and remind them that what we need to do is go out there and vote. What we need to do is constantly be pushing.
And if demonstrators keep pushing, this won't be the last large protest we'll see in the near future. In Raleigh, I'm Erin Wygant reporting.
The NAACP reported a record crowd at Saturday's protest. The North Carolina Republican Party responded by releasing a statement saying the views of those protesters don't necessarily represent the majority of the state.
One of the most controversial political issues in our state, House Bill 2. Now, Governor Roy Cooper is proposing a new deal in an effort to repeal the bill. Carolina Week reporter Danielle Schaefer joins us live in the studio to explain.
That's right, Alex. Cooper is proposing a deal that will address many conservative lawmakers' concerns. The deal would include increasing penalties for bathroom crimes and requiring that cities and counties give 30 days notice to legislators before adopting non-discrimination ordinances. Cooper referred to this deal as a common sense compromise. The North Carolina Sports Association recently announced that the NAACP will take action if the law is not repealed by the end of February. This would include the loss of NCAA championships for the next 6 years, possibly resulting in a predicted $250 million loss for the state.
Danielle Schaefer live in the studio. Thanks, Danielle. And when we come back, they've always been man's best friend, but we'll explain how these pups are going above and beyond for their owners.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android. This is awesome. You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere will bring us wireless emergency alerts. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Flowers and chocolates weren't the only gifts given this Valentine's Day. Many UNC students gave platelets. February 14th was also National Donor Day. The platelets collected by the UNC Blood Center will go directly to cancer patients at UNC hospitals. The process took 1 to 2 hours, ample time for students to do homework and snuggle up in warm blankets. Platelets have a shelf life of just 5 days, so the center is always in need of donations.
It's harder than ever to get a drink in Chapel Hill if you're underage. Chapel Hill Police reported a 5% decrease in alcohol sales to underage buyers last year. The data comes from the latest compliance check, where CHPD sends minors into bars to purchase alcoholic drinks. Police say Chapel Hill businesses have gotten serious about checking IDs. They say they expect this trend to continue.
The Daily Tar Heel is celebrating its 124th anniversary this weekend. Newspaper staff will be hosting panel discussions on a variety of topics, from writing skills to the future of news. Students can attend for free with their student IDs.
It's been 200 years and 222 years since UNC's first student stepped foot onto campus. His name was Hinton James, and every February 12th, the university celebrates the man who walked 170 miles from Wilmington in pursuit of his education. In the pit, Hinton James greeted students and posed for pictures, and at Rams Head Dining Hall, students lined up to get a taste of 1795. CDS serve eggs, potatoes, and country fried steak just like Hinton James would have enjoyed during his time at Carolina. The General Alumni Association hosted the event. Its goal is to highlight notable moments of Carolina's history.
Just kind of a day to bring awareness to the fact that we got to become the first public school because of him.
There will be more events celebrating Carolina's firsts throughout the year.
North Carolina is home to more than 770,000 veterans. Many of them suffer from PTSD, and as our Katie Kamen shows us, there's one Triangle area organization that's supporting ailing veterans with the help of some furry friends.
Raleigh native Paul Shuping was in the Navy during the Vietnam War and the Cold War era.
I was a nuclear specialist, helped build the Eisenhower, and then I went to the Enterprise.
In 2013, Shuping cut his thumb while working as a contractor. That led to MRSA, blood poisoning, and a stroke. Doctors put him into a medically induced coma for 6 weeks. The brain damage from the stroke left him with PTSD, and as a result, he was battling a severe case of depression.
I actually found myself not wanting to live and had made a plan to commit suicide.
But through his dog Abe, he found hope.
It's a struggle sometimes to get up and keep going. But with him in my life, I have to, because he relies on me. He's a very good emotional support dog. He will sense if I'm on the edge, and he will come and stop me.
Shuping says he owes this special relationship to Vets United, an organization that pairs shelter dogs with veterans suffering from PTSD. Terry Morris is the founder and executive director of Vets.
Our mission is to rescue, train, partner and train animals with veterans who are suffering from emotional and physical disabilities.
Through weekly meetings, Morris helps veterans train their dogs to be certified therapy or service animals. Some of the dogs are even capable of completing tasks such as closing doors,
Yeah, good girl.
picking up items,
Right here, up, yes.
and helping their owners undress. And though the work is hard, Morris says it's rewarding.
The enjoyment that you get from seeing a veteran smile and a pup smile at the same time is priceless.
The best part for Shuping?
Vets to Vets has become family to me in the absence of other family.
And it's a family that continues to grow. In Raleigh, I'm Katie Kamen reporting.
Vets to Vets is in need of leashes, dog toys, and cleaning supplies. You can visit their website at vetstovetsunited.org.com for more information. And it's a dreary day in Chapel Hill.
But is there sunshine on the way? Meteorologist Alex Clement has the forecast coming up next.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You have to try things. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. My name is Harvey Lauer. America, do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Do you not love him?
Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Hi, thank you for staying with us and welcome back. I'm your meteorologist, Alex Commit, with your Carolina Week weather. Yeah, we did have a soggy start to today, but it turned out to be not that terrible of a day after all. Once the storms moved through this morning, the sun came out and we warmed up quite a bit. As you take a look at the surface maps, you can see here that this cold front, as it moved across the state earlier today, pushed those storms with it. That's where that rain came from, but as it got out of the way, the clouds cleared and the sun came out, letting us warm up. If you look back to our west, you can see that there's nothing but high pressure over the majority of the United States, and this is going to be pushing its way into our area over the coming days, with a lot of warm air also with it coming from the south. As you look forward to tomorrow, you can see this warm front here is from the warm air that's coming up from the Gulf, and that will progressively make our temperatures better as we move into the weekend and into early next week, getting all the way into the middle 70s. Zoom in a little closer, you can see that we're 54 across the triangle, but from the mountains to the beach, it is a beautiful day to be in North Carolina, nothing but sunshine. We did have a little soggy start today. There was some severe weather in southeast North Carolina and also in parts of South Carolina, but after that front moved out, we did clear up and it got much better. Today we had a high of around 55 with few clouds, winds light and variable. Tonight, those clear skies are going to let the heating of the day out, and we're going to drop all the way down to near freezing, so you might want to have a jacket ready. For tonight's game, this is going to be a little more bearable, but it's still going to get rather cold. But tomorrow we'll rebound quite quickly. 8 a.m., we got 34 degrees on your way out the door. By noon, we'll be up to 45, and then by 3, all the way to 50 with clear skies all day long. Tonight, UNC travels to Raleigh, where the Wolfpack will host at PNC Arena. The game starts at 8 o'clock. We'll have a temperature of 45 degrees then. By the end of the game, we'll only be down to 42, so it will be chilly, but a light jacket should be fine. And then for your weekend forecast, if you're headed to the mountains, Saturday's not looking like a great day for skiing. We will have rain and 51 degrees, but Sunday is going to be your best bet for that. And if you're headed east, the beach looks great with a high near 70 on Saturday and in 73 on Sunday. Just take a look at the 5-day forecast. You see we have lows in the mid-50s for Thursday, but we're progressively getting better with beautiful days all the way across the board. Chilly nights, but a great week to come.
Yeah, so when are the colder temperatures coming back? Because I assume spring's not here yet, so I know this isn't going to last forever.
I've been waiting for the cold to come back for quite a while now, but I got to be honest with you, I'm enjoying it.
Well, good.
Yeah.
We all like the warm weather, but thanks so much for that update.
Absolutely.
And coming up next on Carolina Week, we'll check back with Brett Thompson live at the PNC Arena.
He'll break down tonight's rivalry matchup with NC State.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Thanks for coming in for the interview.
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, we got your personal references, your resume, high school diploma or equivalent.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Yes, it's right there.
Great.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, excuse me, sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If the door's locked, knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't stare, don't use bad language, or talk with your mouth full. Keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. Cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give your seat up to anybody who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you want to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
Good talk.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Hello and welcome to Carolina Week Sports Live in Raleigh. I'm Brett Thompson. I'm standing next to the student line. You just saw them rowdy. They're waiting to get in. They got about 40 minutes left before they can see the Wolfpack take on the Tar Heels at 8. Now, before we get to the game itself, I want to address a couple injuries on Carolina's side of the ball. Isaiah Hicks, he injured his hamstring last week in practice. He missed the Duke game. He did practice yesterday, but as of right now, he is still a game-time decision for the state game. Meanwhile, Kenny Williams, yesterday in practice, injured his right leg. He was seen on crutches on campus last night. His status is still unknown. We do not know whether or not Kenny will be available for the Heels tonight. Meanwhile, on NC State's side of things, it's a little awkward on the bench as Mark Gottfried is reportedly fired at the end of the season. ABC 11's Mark Armstrong reported last night that Gottfried will coach out the remainder of the season, but NC State has begun looking at other options, including Dayton head coach and Wolfpack alum Archie Miller. Now, NC State responded to that report by saying that Gottfried remains the head coach, and that suggests that they've reached out to anyone else is incorrect and blatantly irresponsible. Now, while Gottfried's future is unclear, one thing that is certain is that NC State has struggled since upsetting Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium in January. The Wolfpack have dropped their last 5 games since that game, losing by an average margin of 18 points per game. The most recent loss is the most glaring of that stretch, a 30-point drubbing at the hands of Wake Forest in Winston-Salem on Saturday. So that sets up a rematch of UNC's 51-point massacre of NC State in Chapel Hill in January. Junior point guard Joel Berry spoke to the media yesterday, and he said that it's important that both teams put that game behind them and focus on tonight.
Just forgetting about that loss that they had, and just play the game. And if we do that, I think we'll be just fine. But we can't just go out there and just think they're going to lay down, because, like they laid down the first time.
And if there's anyone who knows about the dynamics of this rivalry, it's head coach Roy Williams. And if he is 31-3 against the Wolfpack, and he understands that one win against the guys in blue is a huge, huge uplift to a Wolfpack season.
And we realize, the game got out of hand here, and they'll be more enthused. They'll be fired up. It'll be able to make some amends for some of the other things that have happened. Some of the other losses can be balanced out by one game if it's us.
Now, if NC State does want to turn it around against Carolina tonight, it has to improve on the defensive end. Just for your reference, focus on the defense on these next clips, and you'll figure out what I'm talking about. The Wolfpack gives up nearly 107 points per 100 possessions, making State 216th in the nation in defensive efficiency. It sounds cliche, but it comes down to effort. Nobody is making an effort to close out on wide open shooters. Players are going underneath screens against red-hot shooters, and honestly, sometimes there's nobody paying attention. In a conference like the ACC, you cannot expect to just outscore opponents without playing on the defensive end. Now, if one man can single-handedly carry the Wolfpack through this game, it's going to be freshman phenom Dennis Smith Jr., who was in foul trouble early against Carolina in Chapel Hill, which is why he struggled in that game. Dennis Smith's a guy who can do it all. He's averaging about 18 points per game, 4 rebounds, and almost 7 assists. He's the only player in ACC history to record 2 triple-doubles in league play, and he's just a freshman. Think about that for a second. The Fayetteville native is a lock for the NBA draft lottery should he choose to declare, and he's looking for redemption after a poor game in Chapel Hill.
Sounds like it'll be closer than it was in the Dean Dome. So what's your prediction for the game?
You know what? I hate giving predictions. I really can't stand it. But I'll tell you what. It's a team with a coach that is playing for his job. It's a team full of players that have been questioned on their effort, their defense, even their talent in the News and Observer this week. And I'm surrounded by wild NC State students. You just saw them earlier. That being said, I'd have to choose NC State, right? Wrong. If there's one thing in this world that I do know is that you never pick against Roy Williams, against the Wolfpack. I've got UNC winning this thing 87-73. It could get ugly very early if State doesn't come out hot. Guys, back to you.
That's sports anchor Brett Thompson risking his life in Raleigh. Thanks, Brett. UNC's Coker Arboretum is home to many beautiful plants, but one Tar Heel turned
Find out more when Carolina Week returns.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
I'm so proud of you, son.
Then, we went on Thundershark 3 times.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
So picture this, it's 1934, you're a UNC student walking through Coker Arboretum, you look up and someone's swinging from the tree branches right above your head. But this isn't just any tale.
Our Brant Berry took to the trees to get to the bottom or the top of this forgotten Chapel Hill history.
Serenity, peace. These are some of the words students associate with the Arboretum. But for some students, the memories are a little more specific.
My parents went here. My dad told my mom that he loved her for the first time in the Arboretum.
There's a lot of bricks, and I am an environmental science major, so I appreciate seeing nature.
Well, I usually use the Arboretum to call my grandmother. Like, that's really my go-to Arboretum trip, so I'm usually thinking about home.
The garden is known for many things, but in 1934, UNC students knew it for a much different reason. Yes, Tarzan had his grip on the box office and captured the hearts of students all across America. Students just like UNC freshman Kemp Battle Nye.
Kemp Battle Nye was hooked on Tarzan, and his friends, like any other good friends, dreamed up a challenge to cross this Arboretum without a foot ever touching the ground.
On the designated morning, clad in only a Tarzan-inspired loincloth, Nye began his journey. Hundreds of spectators watched as this crazy kid began to make his way from tree to tree to tree. Nye eventually exited, triumphant, crossing the Arboretum without touching the ground. But how did he do it? Coker Arboretum curator Margot McIntyre is still confused.
But the trees there must have been a lot more trees, and they were closer together so that he could reach across and do it. I can't imagine.
How Nye did it will always be up in the air. But the why? The why was never in doubt. For his efforts, Kemp Battle Nye earned 5 days of free sandwiches and chocolate milk from UNC Dining Services. In Chapel Hill, I'm Brant Berry reporting.
Well, that is crazy. I have to be honest with you, Sharon. I have never heard that story after 4 years at Carolina. It is still kind of a myth to me, so I enjoyed reading that. Any kind of special reasons that you use the Arboretum?
Oh yeah, I would say so. I definitely walk through it all the time. I actually spent 45 minutes there reading once and was late to class. So we'll say you have to watch out for that.
Not a bad place to wrap up your before class. So that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching and good night.